Hip-hop production didn't start with music software such as Ableton, Pro Tools, or Logic, but instead with the DJ. In the early days of hip-hop, DJs would loop the breakdown sections of records. The breakdown section usually included only drums, percussion, and occasionally a bass line. Looping the breakdown laid the groundwork for how hip-hop producers would eventually make records, and gave the dancers and MCs a chance to showcase their skills. In the 1980s, drum machines and audio samplers entered the consumer market in a major way. This newfound accessibility to technology allowed DJs to create new sounds, sample and manipulate breakbeats, and pull together a bunch of different parts of the songs they love to create something entirely their own. In the early days of hip-hop production, all of the samples were really coming from funk records and disco records, but it was important that they found the section of records that didn't have a lot of music. So these breakdown sections were usually when the other melodic instruments would drop out for a little bit. You would just have drums, percussion, bass lines, and it was from that they would start looping these sections and the dancers would come. When you got to this contrast, this section that was just a little bit of music, people were like, yeah, it's a break. And I think it just kind of opened up something in the consciousness of everyone at the time that was very different. So I think the reason why hip hop developed the way that it did is because it was taking modern rhythms and looping that, but it was actually accessing something that was really ancient, which is just drums looping over and over and people speaking over it. That's something that's, from the beginning of musical time has been going on. People talking and reciting stories over drums. So I think hip hop tapped into that. Disco culture was just taking over the mainstream. Everybody wanted to dance, everybody wanted to party, but it was so musically dense that you just kind of got caught up and swept in the production. Hip hop, it just brought it back to the roots, drums and bass. Those two elements is what make hip hop so infectious. Everything else is, you're just adding a little bit of color, but the real innovation was taking and stripping away all of this mass-produced music and getting back to the roots. That opened up the music in a way that just made it infectious. That made people want to dance, that made people want to move, and eventually inspired MCs to start rapping and creating over this new type of music.